short and justice. I am from a small town called Damascus, Virginia. I am 17 years old. I am in 12th grade. I'm homeschooled and I have anorexia. My family. That is my brother Cody on that side. He is 20, and that's AJ. He's 18. This is my mom Stacy, and then my dad. His name's Jimmy. When I was little, I danced six days a week. I was really outgoing, and I had lots of friends. I was happy, and I played basketball. My dreams. I had a ton of dreams when I was little. I wanted to become a professional dancer, a dance teacher, a model, a basketball player, and an orthodontist. And I also wanted to become an ice skater. What happened? Kids started spreading rumors about me. They said that I was pregnant and then I was having sex underneath the bleachers during school. And I was stared at when going to school and school functions. And it just kept going on. I would sit on the bus going to basketball games and kids would threaten to beat me up if I looked at them again. One girl went from table to table and sat right next to my brother and just talked about me. They stared, pointed, laughed at me. They'd call me bad names. And they would just lie and say that I'd said something that I didn't. The interruption. During all of this, we had been evicted from our home and we were homeless. Our car got repossessed. So we got into government housing and we stored everything. And we promised that we would get our lives back soon. Losing a part of us. On April 27, 2011, a tornado came. Many had died. We escaped. We lost our block pass. Our storage was gone. We had stored everything from our previous house where we moved into the apartment. And here's some pictures of it. Yet it continued. The adults in my life. Well, my basketball coach, she would sit right in the room with them and let them talk about me. And she wouldn't say, this is not right, you're not supposed to be doing this. And she sat there right in front of my face and told me that I was making myself sick and that I was doing it all to myself. And she said I should try harder to fit in with the other girls. Over the edge. I was locked out of the locker room where I had to change for basketball. I could hear them laughing in a room because they'd close the door and they'd laugh. And they'd block it so I couldn't get in. The administration would not listen to me at all. It was 8 against me, my mom trying to speak to them. I gave in, I did not give up. There is a difference between giving up and knowing when you've had enough. How I felt. I felt like horrible. I was sad, I was mad, I was hopeless because no matter what I did, it wouldn't stop and they wouldn't listen to me. They told me I was in the wrong and I was an outcast and that I wasn't good enough. I was taught well I would never be good enough during all of that. Other kids I know, due to the name calling and rumors, a girl at the school attempted to commit suicide and had to be put in a residential care and eventually had to switch schools. Another girl has developed bulimia and is only able to attend school for 3 hours, and she was my best friend. And one of my brother's friends committed suicide because he just got tired of being around everybody that talked about him, and it was 7 months before graduating. I don't want to. I didn't. I was weeks from going into the hospital. I didn't want to commit suicide or quit life, so I quit school and got away from the pain as far as I could. How it changed my life. The impact. During all this, I developed anorexia. I felt withdrawn. I didn't trust anyone at all, so I had no friends at all to speak to. I had to quit basketball due to I struggled with my eating, and because I starved my body, I developed a medical condition called reactive hypoglycemia that now I struggle on a daily basis to maintain. Like, your sugar is supposed to be 100, and mine gets down to 58, and I can't run, I can't do anything without it getting low. Perfection and acceptance. I tried and strive to be perfect for everyone. Friends. I went from a lot of friends to only a couple. I do not have any night outs or tent parties with friends, and I do not get to do things that other kids my age do. My community. I couldn't attend any school functions like my brother's football game because they would laugh and stare at me and spread that I was with another guy, but I wasn't. Bullying is a habit. Bullying is learned from other behaviors like mothers to children or fathers to children. And it's picking on others, calling names. So like if you went to a restaurant and someone said, "Oh my goodness, look how big she is." That kid would learn from that and be like, take it on somewhere else. Cyberbullying, Facebook, Twitter, laughing at people, learned from adults as a child. When enough is enough. Enough is enough when you lose friends and you feel like you can't stand it anymore. And when you're being ganged up on and authorities won't listen to you and you can't go out in public without being made fun of. How do you know? Suicide, cutting, withdrawal from their lives, constant fear of going out, physical, medical issues. If any of that starts happening, that's when you say you need to stop and you need to take care of it. Getting help. You want to talk to your parents, your counselors, hotlines. Try to talk to the school board because the principals probably won't listen to you. And talk to your doctor. What should you do? You should tell someone. You should make a list of everything that has happened to you. And you need to take someone with you. Don't leave without help and don't give up. What to expect. Some people won't believe you, like my principal wouldn't believe me. Any of the school people wouldn't believe me. Some people will laugh at you. Many people do not know what to do. And often you have to search very hard for the right kind of help. Like I have had, how many counselors? I've had 4 counselors and still I'm searching for another one right now. What families and youth should demand. Listening. Administration and authority figures need to listen to people like us. Punishment. There needs to be punishment for the bullies. No judgment. You should not be made to feel like you're the only one in the wrong. There should be some kind of like the bullies are in the wrong. Education. There should be education on what bullying is and what the consequences are. Like in our school, there's barely any people that come to speak on bullying, and when there is, they think it's a joke and they laugh. And where my cousin goes to school in Elizabeth, Tennessee, they have a zero tolerance bullying policy, and the crime is a felony. And I think that needs to be put in place everywhere. Wisconsin recently adopted an ordinance that allows police to cite the parents of chronic bullies if they're notified in writing that their child is bullying and the bad behavior happens again. Within 90 days, the parents can be fined $114 in municipal court. Yeah. How you can help. Make Make time. We need to make time for kids like me. And we need to make it a point to address bullying for what it is and make others see my world. Build and change. Tougher kids. And what I mean by that is we need to educate them on what is going to happen in the school board and schools. Better laws, fairness, and how we think about the kids that are different. Remember, I've already spent more than 30% of my life scared. I have choices, but I do not always know what the ones are the best. I will act on the easy ones first. I want to live, I'm just not sure how I'm going to do that, and I had a dream too. Me today. I'm still me, but I'm still struggling with anorexia, and I have anxiety about going into the public, and I'm trying to get better. My anorexia was in remission, and I'm working to get back there. I'm back in dance, and now I'm a dance teacher. School, I am homeschooled, and my family and those closest to us is my classroom. Friends, I still only have 2 friends. My community, I still not attend community activities or football games because the last time I went, there was a rumor going around that I was with another guy and I was all over him. I was the worst person in the world, and if I go out on a date, I have to go to the next town. Social. I'm sad because I will never be able to attend prom, but I will always be planning it, and me and Mom are planning it right now, so. I'm a lot of work. I attend counseling to help maintain my anorexia and assist me in dealing with my social anxiety due to the bullying. Moving on. Nothing lasts forever. At some point you have to move beyond what happened to you, and it will be one of the hardest things you've ever done. Doesn't mean you forget, it means you're not willing to allow bullies rob you of your life. Life is too short to wake up in the morning with regrets, so love the people who treat you right, forget about the ones who don't, and believe that everything happens for a reason. If you get a chance, take it. If it changes your life, let it. And I have these cards, and if you're ever being bullied, just look at this and remember, you are somebody. Video and then we can do questions. And I wear this bracelet. And it stands for Stand for the Silent. That says I am somebody. To remind myself that in tough times I am somebody and I do matter. So remember, you are somebody. Any questions?
Any questions or anybody that wants to share their story or
You have a question? Yeah.
You guys need
I know what she wants to tell you about, and I'll just give the setup.
Okay.
Their school did something called Challenge Day. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
You should hear of it.
Okay.
And I'll let her try. I did not attend, so I can't. I'll help. If you can't understand, just stick your hand here. I'll translate.
Okay.
Go, Serena.
Okay.
there is this thing called holiday, and they go through the day where you're having fun, and then all like the Sunday you get in these little groups where you can talk about your past, your friends, and they have this game called Cross the Line, which you might want to try someday. But what it is when someone says that if this has happened to you, you cross the line. And if you need to, you cross back. After you cross the line, you take a bunch of hugs, and you understand that a lot of different people have been through similar situations. So me personally, I have a lot of trouble getting people to
Getting on.
people to know
People to notice.
for who I really am. It's kind of really hard for me.
So can I just recap a little? They pull the kids out of school. They signed up to do it, and they do this all day long. They go in first thing in the morning, they sign up, and I think they kind of get to know each other, and they do singing and dancing and all that, just to make it fun. And then they do this thing called Cross the Line, and they'll say something like, have you ever had anybody call you a name, or belong to you, or whatever, and they work through until everybody has had something happen and cross the line. So that everybody can kind of see that there's been something that they've had in common with all the other kids. And they took it, after this program, they took a step further and made it a group called Be the Change. So she's in a club called Be the Change now, which is the first club she's been able to get into in school that she could really participate.
Right.
Because she can't do sports, she can't do a lot of stuff. But I think they've really made some progress. They started this in middle school because if you get them before high school, as you know, once they're set, it's hard to change them. I feel it. But it's a good program, and if you can bring it to the attention of somebody, that's what I was thinking. I wasn't even going to do something to see if I could Google it and get it. But you might look into that and suggest it to because your school sounds like they clearly don't have that.
Yeah.
And it might be something they might try. We did it in
You
Jacksonville.
know what it is like, and there are actually people that don't even in Africa and do it now. They go all over the world, and they just sort of tell George
Jordan said earlier, a lot of kids, and like she said, they went through until they found that each individual that was signed up could relate, because some people don't even know that they're being bullied, number one, or that they're being the bully. Like Jordan said, it's a habit. It's something that is a learned behavior, and unfortunately in today's society, in most places it is a learned, accepted behavior. And it shouldn't be. Because if the person that is being, if you're the person that is being bullied and you don't like being called names or talked about, or say someone was just joking around with you, if you don't like it, then you are being bullied. You should not be hurt or be made to feel uncomfortable.
I was also going to say there's something really interesting with that, because when we have kids that bully and do all these things, there's no such thing as boys being boys. And
Right.
teasing, because you have kids that, in fact, that they have been bullied, and then nobody helps them, and they finally explode and do something back, and then that seems to be sometimes the child that gets attacked. That's the one the boom comes down on. Now they've finally done something instead of stepping back and looking at, the big picture. I believe they call that a reactive bully. So, and also too, when you do go to the administration, when you are having a bullying problem, just like she said, when you go to the principal, everybody has a different agenda. They really don't want to hear it, and you can, really feel like you're under a lot of attack, and you know what I mean. You just can't understand why the board won't listen to you.
Right.
No one returns your email. Why, anything that seems to be like it would make perfect sense to you. My daughter wasn't a reactive bully, but she was bullied. But in the end, I think what the problem was, she was at a school where you pay tuition. So the two kids that were the main bullies, that were bullying a lot of other kids too, they weren't willing to give up, the tuition that their parents were paying. So that became like their agenda. But it was, it's just a really hard, once you get into that, just, the different things that make people different and being bullied for that. We should teach our children acceptance. We should be mad if our kids pick on somebody just because they're bigger, or if they're disabled, or anything about that. That's what we should make so inexcusable as it is to have a child who's like that, not protecting them, and fighting back against the person who doesn't like being picked on.
Right. And always remember, Jordan had said earlier, that the administration didn't listen to her and made her feel like she was in the wrong. Always try to remember, because I know it's hard when you're in this situation. She's probably going to tell you the same thing, because they experience the same thing, that you're not in the wrong. You as the individual that is being bullied, if it hurts you and it feels wrong to you, you are not in the wrong, and you should continue to fight and find outside help outside of the school system. Say the school board, if the school board don't listen, then find who you can go to, above that. Find yourself an advocate that can go with you and help you, that knows, national laws or national resources or something like that. Someone outside of the dynamics that are playing out. So. Yes, ma'am.
I also went through some really huge stuff when I was a victim too. I'm not specifically sure if I was the #1 victim, but I do know 100% sure that I was the victim of middle school. Back in middle school, early middle school years actually, I think 6th grade through I think half of 7th maybe, and then maybe a little bit of high school. But anyway, there were a lot of 100% of rumors that were basically not true, and threats, insults, all that. I do have proof that I was threatened and insulted, but I'd rather not show it.
Right.
But anyway, there were really bad name callings like slut, the B word, all that. I don't remember some of the other names, but I was called like that, and one of the rumors that people thought I had were like an eating disorder, which that was not true at all, but I was really skinny back then.
Right.
But anyway, I went through that exactly for 2 straight years. It almost went to 3. I was actually kind of glad that it was only for 2, but it almost went to 3. As soon as how I survived from it, the only hero that I had that was there for me was my mother. She was my only hero that I had. No one else but her.
Well, it's good that, you know, you have somebody there for you, and you have to look, when you're going through a situation like that, like Jordan said earlier, you have to find that somebody. And don't stop till you find somebody that believes in you, because you do have a support system out there, and you shouldn't be made to feel like you want to die, that you don't include yourself, that you have no reason for existence, that you must be what they say, you're ugly, you're fat, it's not true. Find that somebody that believes in you, and work it out with them. And, you know, she attends, different counselors. She's been to 4 of them. But it's not that they don't believe her, they just don't know how to handle it. The bullying is such, it's a thin line, what is and what isn't. So it's not that they don't believe in her, they just don't know what to do, like she said earlier, they don't know what to do. But we as society and as individuals, we can educate people on what bullying is and isn't, and that this doesn't need to be a learned behavior, and it doesn't need to be a habit for future generations. Then hopefully we can stop the cycle. I had one back here, I think, earlier.
I just wanted to know what Jordan tried on her own, and then who she spoke to, what she did to try to solve the problem herself. And then Mom, when you came on into the picture, what did you do? What were your steps?
Okay.
Well, it started back in 6th grade, something like that, and I just tried to handle it on my own. I tried ignoring it. That didn't help. It made it only worse. Everything I tried to do only made it worse. And I tried sticking up for myself, and they liked that better. What else did I try? I tried talking to teachers. That didn't help either, because they didn't know what to do about it. All they could say was, you need to stop. You don't need to be talking about her. Like, give each other space or whatever. And then I finally brought Mom into it and asked her to do something about it.
And basically, I tried to let Jordan handle it herself, because she's got to do this herself. And when she couldn't do it, I did go to school administration, who were, okay, we'll take care of it for the middle school years. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. And it didn't, well, I brought them into the office, and we talked to them, and they both agreed. Well, okay, they're both going to agree in front of you, And then we ended up doing, I think in middle school year, we did a no contact contract with one of the girls. They were not to be in the same vicinity. They weren't even supposed to be in the same bathroom together. The little girl wasn't supposed to say Jordan's name, or else she would be suspended from school. And then high school, I let her try to handle it with the basketball team, again, because she was older, and we'd been through it in middle school, so she, would know how to handle it, but it kept getting worse. Every time she confronted it, it fueled them. There was more to it. So I did talk to the administration. Again, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. Nothing was done. So we had, and I warned them at the first meeting. I said, this has been going on for years. Your school system hasn't handled it. If it doesn't stop, I'm going to take her out of school. And by the second time, by the time she come out of the locker room crying because they had told her that she was at fault for making herself sick and bringing this on herself, I had enough, went to school. We had a meeting with the basketball coach, the athletic director, the principal, and they backed the bullies. And so, yeah, we chose to take her out. They did homebound her for half of her sophomore year, and then we homeschooled her. I guess that was their way of saying, you know, we can't do anything about this. But they don't see that they have a bullying problem. Like she said, one of the girls from the school ended up, they were calling her names so bad, she just made herself sick and she had to be hospitalized. She was homebound a little bit after she got out of hospital, and then she ended up going back, trying to be reintroduced back into the school, and she ended up having to go back into the hospital and then eventually had to move out of school. So.
I'm a teacher in Christian school, and we don't have a lot of bullying, but there is some there. What would you suggest that a teacher or the administration could do to address it better?
Well, I think like I said earlier, a lot of it is that kids don't know what is bullying and what is not. Bullying, you know, is they just think it's all playing around, and like she said earlier, and some administration will say kids are just being kids, girls are just being girls. But when it gets downright mean and the individual is scarred and hurt from it, then it's bullying. So I think a lot of it is education, bringing it to the forefront, making sure that the kids know that is bullying, and that does things that some of their actions make other individuals feel uncomfortable or hurt. Do you have anything to add to that?
And they need to be disciplined every single time they do it.
Yeah,
somehow.
I think if there was discipline set up,
Yeah.
there would be right now where we're just, they were bullying, you know, there's no real punishment. Whereas, you know, in Wisconsin, or wherever that one law that just come out, and then in Tennessee, it's a felony. They don't bully in my niece's school at all. They know that if they look the wrong way, that it's a felony, and that's it. It's like you don't get a second chance.
And another thing is, I don't, like, discipline-wise, I don't think, like, sending them to, what do they call it, like, where you're in the room by yourself.
In school?
Yeah, in school. That, some kids absolutely love to be in
Yes,
school.
they do.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm with you guys.
I want to respond to hers and as well as you. I have 2 children that have been bullied. And one of the things that a parent said to me, who also has special needs child, she says, well, you got to understand, if you look at child, and what made me think of it is looking at your daughter here. When you look at your child, she doesn't look like a special needs child. Why do they have to look like a special needs child? Bullying shouldn't happen regardless of what your child looks like.
No.
Okay, that is just wrong. And I blame we as parents, and I blame society, because I've always taught my children from growing up, you don't laugh at anybody. I don't care what they look like. Even if they look like a clown, don't you dare laugh at them. Okay, you don't do that. You accept people for who they are on the inside. Don't call them names. They aren't even allowed to call each other names. Okay? And so when they were bullied, and I went up to the school and I complained, and one of the teachers said, which really nearly got me arrested, was, well, he just needs to man up. No, he doesn't. He's a child. When he becomes a man, he'll man up. But he's a child. There's no reason for him to be bullied just because you think boys will be boys. My boys will not be boys. Okay? They will show respect to everyone, and they will not bully anyone, so I don't want anyone bullying them. Now, once it happened the second time with my child, and I went up and I complained to the school, and they said, we'll take care of it. Well, that was your second chance. You won't get a third chance to take care of it, because now I will take care of it. So when he got hurt after they said they would take care of it, I pressed charges. I went to the police and I pressed charges. She should not have to, okay, yes, she may be making herself sick, okay, but she shouldn't have to do that just because they think, well, they're just being kids and there's nothing you can do. Yes, there is something you can do. The schools that they go to now, they do have that contract where this is tolerated twice. And depending on the severity of it, you don't even get the second chance. Okay? My children go to a Christian school. Bullying is not tolerated at all. There's a no tolerance. Okay? You don't call each other names. Did your mother give you that name? If that's not the name your mother gave you, don't call them that name.
For instance, at my school, if we call somebody a name, we're suspended.
Yes.
Not in school, out of school.
It's not acceptable. And we as parents, we need to say, and see, that's the other thing. Why the teachers may not have an idea what to do, because they call the parent and they say, okay, well, your child did this in school, and they say, oh, okay, fine. No. Handle that.
Right.
If they call me, and my children know, don't make the teacher have to call me up to the school. Okay? Don't make them call me.
Parents were like.
Okay? And they know that.
Right.
Okay?
We deal
And
with
my other child, he's autistic, so he already has issues, and he definitely can't handle bullying. So when somebody bullies him, his first response is, call me that name again and I will knock you out.
Right.
And so the teacher immediately has to say, and I will call your mother. No, you don't need to call her. Okay, don't call my mother. Okay?
Right.
And we as parents, we have to do that.
Right.
She said her only ally was her mother. Okay? Well, you know what? Once she went up to the school and complained, that superintendent or whoever they were should have called that parent's mother, and that parent's mother should have jumped on that right away.
Exactly.
Why are you calling her names? Is that the name her mother gave her? No.
Right.
Did she put her hands on you? Then keep your hands off of her.
Right.
And actually, another thing I went through is all the parents went up to a Thanksgiving dinner at the school.
Of the
And
bullies.
they talked about me the whole time they were sitting there.
In elementary school.
And the
So-
parents just sat there.
Right, it is learned, so the children who were bullying her, parents, so they see, so it's a learned behavior.
They see that behavior in the home.
It's the behavior that they're learning in the home. So we need to educate people and try to stop it, and educate, like she said, she goes, her child attends a Christian school, and there's hardly any bullying, or none, because there's zero tolerance.
Right.
If there's zero tolerance, then it won't happen, so we need to start educating the schools. Let them hear our voices. I don't care if they get mad at you and you're tired
That's
of
right.
listening
Get
to
me. And you shouldn't have to pull her out of school because you pay your taxes.
Exactly.
Why do you have to pull her out of
And
school and homeschool?
I have two other boys, and one of them is still in the public school where she went to school at, and he has no problem. But she did. But like she said, you wouldn't think that she would be somebody that would be picked on. So anybody, it can be anybody.
That's right.
So just take this as it can be, and you can have a disability, you could be totally normal. It's the problem is these bullies are insecure, and they are the ones that have the issue, and they have to learn behavior. So you guys always remember that. Okay, we'll get to these two. Whoever wants to go first back there.
I just want to make a comment. I'm a psychologist, so I see a lot of, like the young lady spoke about up front, where kids don't say anything and then they commit suicide
That's
or they
right.
lash out on other people. So one thing as a parent, like I drill her all day, every day. Did you have a good day? Did this,
That's right.
I'm like, did anybody say anything? Because I want her to know that you can come to me. I don't care if it's the smallest little thing, because kids are mean.
Yes, they are.
And in our community, we live in a small rural community, and I feel like I take care of my children before I take care of myself. So my kids dress nice, they have nice things, and she gets picked on because of that. She doesn't get picked on because she has bad shoes or holes. She gets picked on because she has nice things. She gets picked on because she dresses nice and she gets her hair done. And it's like, give me a break, But it's learned behavior. I feel like it's just a combination of things in our society and the media, and just it's a negative world that we live in. It's just horrible because she's 15 and she's looking forward to prom and things like that. And we actually thought about pulling her out of school this year and putting her in a private Christian school that my son goes to, because she's just like, Mama, a 15-year-old that comes to you and says, like, I pray every day before I go in the door, and I feel like a negative spirit jumps on my back. Like, that is serious.
Yes,
but
it
it's
is.
like, why can't our kids just go to school and go to school?
Right.
I mean, they're worried about all these other things than school. And then, our community, we do have a zero tolerance for bullying. But it's not just bullying, it's just a mindset of the kids. I mean, it's just that their mind is on other things, and they don't necessarily just hone in and focus on one person. Like in her situation, it's just negative, period. So it's just, as a parent, I think it's really important that you just focus on your kids. And I'm not to say that anyone's at fault if they don't recognize it.
Right.
But I do see where, you hear these stories like Columbine and things like that, where parents just don't know because their kids put on that happy face. Like you said, but behind the smile, I'm sad. So even when she seems happy, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure?
That's
Are you
right.
okay? Nobody said anything. Nothing happened. I'm like, I know you get tired of hearing that, but I want to know.
That's
because I want you to know. Her thing was like, well, I don't want you to have to pay for me to go to private school. I said, I pay for things I want. I'm going to pay for what I need for you.
Right.
So don't let that be a concern, But I think it's just as parents, like, you just have to stay so involved and be the advocate for your kids because I teach her to advocate for herself for other things, but I think when it comes to bullying and sticking up for yourself, like a parent has to be involved
Yes.
because a lot of times administration won't listen to the child, and sometimes they won't listen to the parents either, like in your situation. So the parents just need to really stay involved.
Somebody. Oh, you. Oh, yeah. Okay, she does have.
Before I went to high school, like, I rarely had problems. Like, my 9th grade year, I had some people that were mean to me, but it wasn't bad. But this year, there was this one girl, she was new, she was not here she was from Louisiana. And I've never met her, and then, when she first got there, that's all she was pick on me, call me names, and, she's, fought me before because she doesn't like me. She doesn't like how I dress or how I act. She doesn't like me because of my grades and I don't even know this girl. I don't even know her real name. I just know her nickname. And she's picked on me, and I went to the principal, and they can only do so much. And so after they're gone, she would still talk about me, and I talk to people, and talk to my mom, but it's still you still feel like people are looking over you, and they're judging you, and they're still being mean to you. And it's how many other people are you doing this to? And what are you gonna do to change? How are you gonna change this, and how am I getting away from it?
And in her situation, she was actually attacked by the girl at the beginning of the year, and she's a straight A student, never been in trouble, in all the academic things. And so my thing was, she fought back because I teach you defend yourself. And so she was suspended from school also. And I said, this doesn't need to be on her record because she was defending herself.
Right.
So they said, well, she could have walked away. I said, I don't teach my kids to walk away. There's a point where you can walk away, but when someone's physically attacking you, don't turn your back.
Right.
And so they took their suspension or whatever, and probably a month or so ago, it happened again. But she saw the girl turn, went the other way, and the girl ran down the hall and jumped on her. And so she didn't want to fight back, so she held her in a headlock till somebody got there. And they still tried to suspend her.
Wow.
And even the officer was like, no, I don't care what your school policy says, the law says she has a right to defend herself. And this girl, so they didn't suspend her that time. But then I think the only reason that girl backed off at that point is because the law got involved. And he told her, he said, if you say her name, if I hear anything that came from you, you will be arrested. So that's when it stopped for her. But how many times how often does that
Why would they not
happen?
give her those chances?
Right,
It's just,
right.
Why don't you
And
get
especially
control
when
of what
you
you've done?
know the person, and it's not to judge anyone, but you had a year with this student before, never been in trouble, made straight.
Right.
She's in dual enrollment in college already in 10th grade, and she's a good student. Why would you take somebody just coming in,
Right.
and just give them those chances?
Right.
Exactly. And it's hard because, like I said, in that situation, as a parent, you know that she has the stress on her that she's trying to do the right things. She just wants to go to school. But she's got to watch her back and, just to get an education and feel like she can't defend herself because she don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
Have you spoken to that parent of that other child?
No. That wouldn't be nice.
But and I hear what you're saying, been there, done that.
Yeah.
But I would make that first attempt.
Well, I really think that them talking to, because the officer, because I'm in, it's weird because at some point you have to take your work hat, because I work for the district. I'm a
Right.
psychologist for the district. So I'm like, okay, this is the mom coming in, not the psychologist. So anything I say don't work against me with my job. But I said, something needs to happen. And so he said he was going to sit the girl down and the parents down and tell them she was going to be legally charged if anything else happened, and it stopped.
And this
But-
is
Okay.
Now, this is one interesting thing that I learned on my journey with something else, is that you can go into the school and you can talk to them and you can talk to them. And they have other interests, they do what they want to do. But the minute that you put it into writing, you put everything into the writing, all of a sudden it's very different because now they have to really adhere to the law. Now that's in a record that's viewable because everything they do is public. So everything that they've always said before, lip service, it's all the way they want it to go. We're going to handle it. But Florida is supposed to be a zero tolerance. It's supposed to have some of the toughest laws. But what the school never tells you is because they don't want you to put it into writing. But as soon as you put it into writing, then everybody in the school board is, all the people, then it starts going through the chain. Then they start applying the laws. Because then it's a compliance thing. Now there's a written record that they can be held accountable for. So then, therefore, they start doing everything that they're supposed to do. That student should be removed and never be able to come back to school again. So simply sometimes, and it's really annoying that for a long time for a different thing that I went down there. And then to find out that had I just in the beginning, put it in writing, that you get it's a whole different result.
Well, I will say in our district, because it's a small district, they have their rules, but it's kind of like the good old boy system where like they will handle things a different way than they should because they know you or they want, it needs to be handled and they see the severity of it and there may not be a rule in place for it, but they're going to handle it this way because we do have alternative schools in our district. So for kids who act out in school a lot or who have been arrested, there's other schools like we have separate day schools for them. So a lot of times those students just get moved to a different school and then they have all the bad kids in one school. So that's how our district really handles it when they have a lot of problem kids.
Right. Go to you.
When I'm 20 now. When I was 16, 15 through 18, I've been bullied my whole life. In school and private school and public school and everything. I still am. But it's hard. I mean, I go to my mom and she's the take charge girl. She's the take charge. She gets things done. She really does. And at one of my schools, I got beat up by a guy. Other than that, which he was 18. Actually, I turned 18 and he was 17. So I couldn't do anything.
Right.
So at least one of my friends jumped and got him off me. Thank God. And I pressed charges, and I haven't heard, and I've never heard from him since.
Wow.
So other than that, I'm happy now. Happy where I am.
Good. Well, that's good. And like, as you're hearing these, I'll get to you too, just a minute. As you're hearing these stories, and those of you that are in here, that have been bullied, such as Jordan, remember, you hear these, she's doing okay now. She's okay. Jordan is at a point in her life where it's okay, it's not wonderful because we still live in the same community, but eventually she'll get to the point where it's good, it's okay. So remember that you are somebody and that, your life does have meaning, contrary to what anybody else might think, and you are not in the wrong. So we'll do you because you were first. Yeah.
In Tennessee, I went to Stone Ridge Middle School, and we would sit there in class, we would watch a bullying movie, people would be like, oh, that's so bad what people do, and it was like a couple weeks later, and I was being called Point Dexter and stuff because I was always had better grades than everybody else, and once that happened, and once I found out what they were actually doing, about saying the names to me, my grades dropped to all Fs. I didn't care, I stayed after school in detention, and I didn't really care, and sometimes I'd skip school because of it. But when I came here to Oasis High School, they did not play around at all. And Florida, and for my high school, my friend Shannon had made fun of this guy. She had dated him for a couple of days, and she had to learn more about him, just to get to know about him, and then post on Facebook all about his past and stuff that he didn't want anybody else to know. And she would post stuff like what he had gone through, and he had like this one disability, and she had posted it online, and he wasn't allowed to have any photos online either. She took a photo of him, put it online, put it on Facebook, put it on everything, and people were tagging it. And he had gotten over it, and he came to me, and he had said, what do I do? I took him to Mr. Colhane, my teacher, and he said, oh, we'll deal with it. The first time they didn't. But the second time, when He goes, I want you to show me. I went with him on his computer, and because we're allowed to have iPads in school, we had done that. And I said, you need to go show him this. He went over there, showed him the teacher. They suspended her. They expelled her from school. Let her come back to school, though, after about a week. But once that happened, now for next year, there's no iPads, no phones, no nothing. You cannot have any electronics at school. You can't have anything that can bully anybody. If you are bullied, because most people won't stand up, like if they know that someone's bullying, they won't stand up because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble. That's how my friends used to be. But now if you stand up, you will be recognized for that. But if a bully is recognized in the school, you will be expelled and you will never go back to a private school again. I go to a private school, and she is not allowed back in the private school, and now she's having a hard time trying to find a school to get into.
See, and if we educate, and like she said, you know, a lot of people don't want to say anything. Jordan, am I right? You didn't want to say anything for a long time. You tried to handle it yourself. But if we don't start saying something, we're contributing to the habitual behavior that they're portraying. And you know, you're somebody. You're beautiful inside and out, no matter who you are. And you are a person. So if we start saying stuff, education on what bullying is, what is accepted behavior and what isn't, I think will help. Okay, you, and then I think it's about that time, so go ahead.
Well, there's actually one last thing that I would love to share with all of you. I did hear that one of y'all been bullied, so I am one of the students of UNF, and it's in Jacksonville. And I would like to tell y'all that I'm in this program, this transition program, OCT, on campus transition, and staffs, teachers, and students, we're celebrating Bullying Awareness Month. What that means, we were celebrating who were bullied or whatever. So I, in front of over 40 or 45 people for this awareness month, I was the first female person that ever spoke at UNF in Jacksonville.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yay.
When I did that, I felt like I was a hero, and I told that one of y'all who've been bullied a lot for who knows how many years, please tell your parents, don't even keep a secret. You know what that tells me? I didn't really tell my mom because I didn't think that she would believe me on all that, because that's what all teenagers would think. Right. But I was really young. I was 13, either 13 or 14 when it started. But yeah, of course it was hard for me to get over, and every time I try to think about it, of course it's hard and even harder. And when I was bullied, none of the teachers didn't do anything about it. Yeah. The principal, she didn't even know about it, so I'm not going to include her because she didn't know anything about it. The teachers, they knew about it, they just didn't stop it for some reason. So then I told my mom, I begged her for mercy, please do something about this. She said, what's happening? What's wrong? And I'm like, the kids are bullying me, and just a week before school ended, if it weren't for my mom for getting me out of that school, yeah, I I would have felt like I was not surviving at all, but I finally did.
And that's good. And what we need to do is, you guys that feel alone at school, I know it's the hardest feeling ever, but out of this room, looking around and hearing all the stories, Jordan's story, her story, you know, your story, I know you really didn't say anything, but I know about it. You know, would you have believed that any of these other people were being bullied? I mean, so maybe there's find the other kids in your school, build a support system, and start educating the teachers and the staff. Jordan had talked about the bracelet that she wears. Stand for the Silent comes from the movie The Bully. I don't know if any of you have seen that. They do have a Facebook. They do have a Facebook group where kids are on and talk about their bullying experiences, and there are adults on there that do, you know, interact with the kids and, you know, give them some advice and stuff like that. But she does wear that, and and Kirk, who was in the movie, is actively in charge of that Stand for the Silent Facebook feed, and he does reply back to the children. You know, so there are other options out there, you know, besides feeling like you're worthless. And you can it'll never probably go away. You'll probably always remember this in the back of your head or your heart for the rest of your life. But just remember that you are somebody, and you need to start educating. Do you want anything else before, because it is time?
Thank you for coming and listening to everyone.
Thank you.